What's up, Fdgl? Fantasy Disc Golf League. Las Vegas Challenge has concluded. It is in the books. Not as many fireworks as last year's tournament, but it was still a good watch. All right, so for this video, I'm going to recap what happened at last week's tournament, grade my predictions for that tournament, and then tell you my predictions for week 2 at Waco. The Waco Annual Charity Open, aka Waco. Very creative. All right, so in 12th place, we have Gil. I projected him at 11th place for last week, so I was off by 1, not bad. So he started Nate Sexton, Greg Barsby, Paul Ulibarri, Casey White, Sayananda, and Deanne Carey. What's notable about this to me is that Skip Ace designated Casey White and Deanne Carey as alternate, which means that you don't even have to make sure that all of your players are playing, just that you have enough players playing the event to fill out a roster, and Skip Ace will do the rest for you. In tournaments where there is a cash cut, you really want to make that cut, because if you don't, you're stuck with whatever number your player got heading into the final round. But if you make the cut, there is a chance to get better or worse. In 11th, we had Daniel. I projected him 7th, so this was a bit of a disappointment for him. He started Aaron Gossage, Mason Ford, Jeremy Colling, Jake Hebenheimer, Henna Blomroos, and Holly Finley. Honestly, even with the 41st place finish from Holly Finley, he would have done really well, except Jeremy Colling's DNF absolutely crushed him, taking 118 points just on that one spot. In 10th place, we had Matt. That's exactly where I projected him, so kudos, Matt. He started Anthony Barella, Isaac Robinson, Scott Withers, Jacob Cordes, Macy Villadiaz, and Sarah Gilpin. Basically, the story here is that he took 2 big numbers from Isaac Robinson and Jacob Cordes. Honestly, both of those are surprising. I thought both of them would have done a little bit better, but he did better with his players that I thought would do a little bit worse, so it kind of all evened out. I'm sure Matt will look forward to starting Paige Pierce this week at Waco. All right, in 9th place, we have Keaton. This was a huge disappointment. I had him projected at 3rd for the week, but his MPO players really shat the bed on this one. He started Gannon Burr, Simon Lizotte, Chris Clemens, Garrett Gerthy, Emily Beach, and Stacy Ronsley. I'd say he underperformed on 3 of his MPO spots, and his FPO players didn't do much to help him. You don't want to be taking more than a 20 or a 30 in FPO because you're just losing a lot of places to the rest of us. Okay, in 8th place, we have Jay Kraft. I projected him 12th. Yeah, he changed his entire roster basically after I made that projection, which good for him. That's exactly what he should have done. So he actually had the MPO winner, Calvin Heimberg, followed up by Austin Hannum, Chris Pinniger, I think that's how you say it, Robert Burridge, Anakin Christensen Steen, and Juliana Corver. He really didn't get a lot of great performances other than Calvin Heimberg, and that's why he ended up being 8th. In 7th, we had Eli. I projected him at 5th. He started Kyle Klein, Alden Harris, Gavin Rathbun, Chandler Kramer, Kat Murch, and Maria Oliva. So I believe he also had a DNF. Gavin Babcock was trying to retrieve a disc that was stuck in a tree, and when he jumped down, he fell awkwardly on his ankle and sprained it really, really bad. So he'll probably be out for a few weeks. However, Skip Ace did Eli a solid by allowing him to switch Chandler Kramer in for Gavin Babcock automatically. This is why it's important that you have bench players who are also playing the event. Similar story to Jonathan here. He got a standout performance from Kyle Klein, finishing 4th, and not much else to help him. I'm sure Eli is licking his chops, getting ready to start Kristen Tatar for Waco. In 6th place, right where I projected him at number 6, Andy. He actually had 2 pairs of MPO players that both tied for 27th and for 30th. Joel Freeman, Adam Hammis, Benjamin Callaway, and Luke Humphreys. Followed up by a solid 11th place from Alexis Mandujano and 40th from Paige Shue, and that put him right squarely in the middle at 6th place. In 5th place, 3 spots better than where I projected him, we had James Anderson. He started Eagle McMahon, Andrew Marweed, Andrew Presnell, Raven Newsom, Haley King, and Lisa Fakis. Going into that final round, I think if you told him that Eagle would finish 13th, he would have been pretty disappointed with that because I believe he was on lead card or maybe chase card. So he kind of imploded there. But James did really solid on all of his MPO spots except for Raven Newsom, who missed the cut. And then he did just fine on the FPO side, scoring 28 points in 2 spots. Not bad. 5th place. All right, and 4th, right where I projected me, was me. I started Matteo, Ezra Aderhold, Vino Michaela, Tristan Tanner, Owen Scoggins, and Holland Hanley. I actually had 4 top 10 finishers out of my 6 players, including 2 of them in the top 3. If I had started Emerson Keith instead of Vino, I would have won by a lot. Also, I want to point out that Tristan Tanner was 15th going into the last day, so he kind of pooped the bed a little bit too. That could have been a whole lot worse for you guys. I learned my lesson. All right, in 3rd place with a very strong performance, even though I projected him to win the week, is Allen. He started Corey Ellis, Nico LaCastro, Luke Sampson, Chandler Fry, Missy Gannon, and Ella Hansen. As I projected, he absolutely dominated FPO, scoring 6 total points over 2 spots. That's a 2nd and a 4th place finish, everybody. Well done, sir. And then really, he got 3 solid MPO contributions and had to use an alternate because he started Linus Carlson, who didn't play, so he got the 65 points from Chandler Fry on his bench. In 2nd place, way above his projection, James Old, although I have to admit, I was just wrong on his projection. I should have known that Katrina Allen would win that event. That's all she does, is win Vegas. But he had all 4 of his MPO players cash, including a rock-solid 2nd place finish from KJ USA. He started Kevin Jones, James Conrad, Bradley Williams, Colton Montgomery, Katrina Allen, and Jennifer Allen. So congrats to you, James, for being the only player to have all 6 starters make the cut. And in 1st place, my projected 2nd place finisher, Brian, he started The Beast, Paul Macbeth, Drew Gibson, Brody Smith, James Proctor, Evelina Salonen, and Sarah Hokum. He would have dominated if Evelina Salonen could just make a putt. Her putting was so bad that she ended up missing the cut. But if she can get it together, Brian's team is going to be absolutely scary. So congrats to you, sir, for the 1st place finish and the 11-0 start to the season. Okay, so that's out of the way. Now, on to the next tournament. For Waco, here are my projections. All right, so in 12th place, we have Jonathan. Other than Calvin Heimberg coming off his win from LVC and the up-and-comer Robert Burridge, I don't really see a whole lot of upside in his lineup with plenty of risk. Number 11, James Anderson. Obviously, his best player is Eagle McMahon, but Waco is a very forehand-heavy course, so I just think Eagle's going to have issues. I think his top MPO finisher is likely to be Andrew Marweed because he doesn't really have the distance, but his putting is dialed. So other than Andrew Marweed and Haley King, I just don't see a lot of other top finishers in his lineup. Projected at number 10, I have Eli. Even though he's got Kristen Tatar, who will likely win this event, I just think you need more than that. His best MPO player is Kyle Klein, who could finish in the top 5, but Eli's going to need at least average finishes from the rest of his lineup to make it work. Projected at number 9, I've got Gil. He's starting Ricky Wysocki, Nate Sexton, Greg Barsby, and Paul Ulibarri on the MPO side, and then Sarah Cunningham and Sai Ananda on FPO. Honestly, I think all 4 of his men could be really solid. These are all old dudes who are really experienced and have a really good woods game. I think he's going to take some big FPO numbers, which is why I have him this low, but he'll probably get some solid MPO finishes to keep him out of the cellar. Projected at 8, there's Andy. Joel Freeman and Adam Hammis are nice. I'm just really concerned about him starting Ben Calloway and Connor Rock. Alexis Mandujano should be solid, and I'm really still worried about Valerie Mandujano's ankle. There's no way it's fully healed, even though she won this event last year. Projected 7, I've got Keaton. I think all 4 of his MPO players, maybe outside of Garrett Gerthy, have a good shot to be in the top 30. Kona obviously won this event 2 years ago, but she is trying to get back to her former glory. And then Emily Beach is kind of weak as well. Projected at number 6, I have Brian. Paul Macbeth is in contention to win every tournament he plays. I think Brody Smith and James Proctor should be strong at this event. I'm concerned that this course doesn't favor Drew Gibson's game. Evelina can't putt. Sarah Hokum should be decent. 5th place is where I projected my team for this week. I'm a little worried about starting Ezra Aderhold, but he's too good to bench. I'm taking a little bit of a risk starting Vino, but he came off of a solid effort at the Memorial. And then my 2 FPO players should shred. So I think all of that is good enough to keep me afloat in the top 5. I've projected Matt's team to get 4th place, provided that he subs in Paige Pierce and Niklas Antila into his starter spots, which, in my opinion, are the obvious plays. I think this team lines up nicely for this specific tournament, other than Anthony Barella, and he could sneak into the top 3 if it all breaks right for him. Speaking of top 3, in 3rd, I've got James Old. He's got 3 really good Woods MPO players, and I've got to show respect to the defending LVC champion and Katrina Allen. Number 2, Allen. I think he's got 4 really good chances to be top 30 on MPO. And then on his FPO side, Missy is just really consistent. So I think Allen is one of the safer bets to be in the top 3. And at number 1, I've got Daniel's team. He has 4 MPO players that I think could be top 30, including Chris Dickerson, who I am projecting to win this tournament on the MPO side. He's got Henna Blomroos, who played very well at Vegas and who I think could be a breakout player on the FPO side this year. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Daniel takes home the 11-0 this week. All right, that's going to do it for me, and I will wait patiently for James Anderson's grades on my grades. Peace!